Hello and welcome to our next web series, Tips to Navigate the Job Market for Newcomers in Canada, which is part of a series offered by Next Steps Employment Centers across the GTA. My name is Judith Hart. I'm an employment specialist at our Meadowvale location in Mississauga. And today I'm inviting you, if you're a newcomer or if you know any newcomers that arrived within the past 5 years to Canada, to listen to this session, which will reveal some tips, important information, and also some links to the websites where you can learn a lot about settlement and finding a job and understanding a little bit of the labor market and get some strategies and tools and ideas to navigate the current labor market as a newcomer. So just before we start, a couple of little suggestions I would like to recommend. Take notes, reflect on what you're going to start, stop, and continue doing, because I'm pretty sure by now, you are aware that you're doing some things well, but you may learn new things that will shed new lights on your actions, and you might want to stop certain things and highlight yet others that would prove, profitable for you or fruitful. This is a pre-recorded webinar, so please rewind and re-listen anytime you have the chance to go back to the slides. So that's the beauty of webinars, and also follow up with the tips and links after the webinar. So I'm giving you the last slides, one of the last slides, and please do follow up, because those are important links for you that I gathered from my knowledge. So enjoy. Shall we start? Our agenda today is welcoming you, who is a newcomer, a few words on that, 3 key steps to succeed in Canada as a newcomer, with main focus on just very few 3 steps: attitude, knowledge, and action, which in my idea of many years of servicing newcomers, I found these are the most important kind of criteria to cover. And then, as I mentioned, tips and links. So let's get to some learning. First of all, welcoming you. Uprooting is not easy. You made it here. Whether you made it within the past 5 years or just last week, I truly, from the bottom of my heart, congratulating you to get here. In my idea, Canada is one of the best countries on earth to live in. It's peaceful, it's beautiful. And myself as a resettler, actually, because it's the 2nd time I'm living in this beautiful country, I can tell from experience, not just from knowledge I've learned from books and articles, but from my own personal lived experience, how wonderful it is to be able to set your goal and achieve your goals in a peaceful, beautiful, multicultural, diverse, exciting place. So welcome. The 3 key steps to succeed as a newcomer is attitude, which is basically covering a little bit about the mindset, the behavior, and the habits of yours, as well as knowledge. What do you need to research on? The classical who, what, where, why, and how, as well as action, which is really truly implementation and consistency with it. Because no matter how much you know, no matter how much you have learned before, no matter how much you're reading, if you're not actually taking steps to implement it, it will be extremely hard to, get ahead. And why not be successful? Why not collaborate? So, collaborating with life and destiny, maybe. Implementation is key. And being consistent with your behavior is just as important as gathering knowledge. So the first step, attitude, behavior, and mindset. Ooh, these are big topics for such a short 35 minute program, but I'll attempt to cover it. So mindset basically is to make sure that you understand what you're focusing on, and does that lead you to positive, successful events. Because we know tough times never last, but tough people do. So as life changes, we constantly shift focus. But are you focusing on the right things? And focusing on the right things is really a matter of the mindset, fixed or growth. So as you can see on the right, failure is the limit of my abilities. On the left, failure is an opportunity to grow. So how do you even treat failure? How do you treat hardship? Do you say, I stick to that what I know right now, and I'm enough because all my life I've done this, so probably it will be okay? Or you say, well, I'm seeing that a lot of things around me are changing, so I like to try new things. Let's see how they work. So as you can see on the two slides, there are two very, very different attitudes. Good news is that you're in control. You're in control as long as you understand and aware of what you're doing. So a very good exercise is just to start to, notice yourself. What are the things that I keep saying when I'm encountered with new information? Am I saying that, oh, yeah, I know it? Or are you kind of open to say, hey, I'm curious. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I could learn. Maybe, I'm curious about this to find out. And also, how do you treat challenges? Because when a challenge for you is an opportunity to find out more things about yourself, as opposed to a hardship or frustration, that's when you grow, and that's when you actually reach wonderful results. So kind of check in with yourself. Am I having a fixed mindset or am I having a growth mindset? Because the fruits are sweet of the growth mindset. So, just basically stay open, stay flexible, stay adaptable. Sometimes when, we come from another country, from another continent, like myself as well, you can hear on my accent, obviously. And it's second time I'm living in Canada. So actually twice I needed to revise my own thinking. Because when I came here 37 years ago, first, things were very different. The labor market was an entirely different market than now. So 14 years ago, when I came back again, second time to resettle here, obviously I needed to develop a growth mindset, a curiosity and adaptability, which, by the way, is really all of the 21st century skills. There are many, many 21st century skills we need to kind of adapt ourselves to and learn about. But the basic four, the most important that Canadian employers are really, really in demand or demanding is creativity, communication, collaboration, and critical thinking. Without these four, it's pretty hard to get a job these days because the competition is big, as you know, as you probably have noticed. Also, practice gratitude often. We sometimes get into this, the stress end of things, and we forget that, hey, I achieved a lot already, whether in my country on another continent or earlier in Canada here. Say thank you to yourself and say thank you to the community because we almost never achieve things alone. So make sure that, you develop that kind of gratitude habit. You get into the habit of thinking, who can I thank this for? What am I grateful for today? Some people even have a little diary every day, and they just write down 2-3 things every day that they are grateful for. Trust me, gratitude is giving you an amazing energy, and it will take you to better places because that energy is exactly what the employer is looking for. Hope and energy, positive energy. And of course, be patient and be gritty. What does that mean? Well, patience, we all know it's hard to master. However, gritty is a new word. Angela Duckworth, a famous former New York school teacher, who by now wrote many bestsellers, #1 bestsellers books on Amazon.com. She actually came out with the research from her school years where she saw children from extremely disadvantaged neighborhoods and children that were coming from privileged neighborhoods. And she noticed that the people that came from the disadvantaged, they reached higher many times or most of the time. So she started to unpack this. What is grit? Why are they so gritty, more persevering? And then she realized, well, because they had more passion to succeed. And also they persevered. That means they never gave up until they perfected it. So in a nutshell, this kind of mindset I wish upon you as a newcomer to our new land. Now, I'm very well aware of it. It's a balancing act But the balancing act actually means you need to do inner work with yourself, with your own soul and mind. And you also need to do the outer work, understanding what's out there. It cannot be just one. Okay, I just do the inner work. I'm a good person. I'm going to be open. I'll have the growth mindset. Things will fall into place. No, it's a co-creation with the local market. So we need to understand what's out there, because at the end of the day, it's a market. The labor market is a market. And in order to find work, we need to really understand supply and demand. And later on in the video, or the webinar, I'm gonna show you a lot of links and a lot of information that will show you actually what are the resources that you can tap into to do your outer research work, okay? But keep it in balance, very important. Nothing works out of balance, as we know in life. So checking in with yourself, even after you settled, even after, the 5 years passed and now you're a Canadian citizen or you're a landed immigrant, you're forever, even then, even I am checking in with myself quite often. Well, especially being a coach, coaches need to check in with themselves as well in order to be balanced and to give the best to their clients, the best to you. Have you done enough research? What can I still learn and do in order to understand the Canadian job or labor market? Is there anything else still? Can I be curious? What else? That's a really good question. What else is out there? If you kind of develop this, what more can I learn and do? You will always win. You will always be in the forefront. Why? Because life is changing anyway, and we are forced anyway to learn constantly. In fact, that's one of the hardest things for newcomers, which I can testify to kind of unlearn what you learned in your life earlier in another continent, in another country, in another labor market, and relearn, according to the local rules where you are right now, or conditions, or the context. And of course, ultimate big question, and I even asked this from friends and even colleagues, would I hire myself if I was an employer? This is a huge question, because that will give you an opportunity to really reflect. What if I was my own employer? Am I marketable today? Am I sellable today onto this market? You notice that I use a lot of market terminologies because the competition obviously is huge, and almost no one, absolutely no one, transfers at the level where they came from in their original country. So it is important to kind of change that mindset. We'll talk about that later a little bit more. So number 2, knowledge. After we kind of did the check-in, mindset change, behavioral change, habitual change, knowledge. What do we need to do here? So obviously there's a huge preparation work going on, and you might be underway in the middle of it. You might embark now as of tomorrow, or you might have been in it for a while and a bit maybe frustrated because, hey, I'm doing all that, but nothing is happening. Well, you know what? First of all, we are there for you next steps. So let us hold your hands. Let us be a team together with you. But here's a list of what I would recommend to go through in your mind. Check it. So research the job market, learn the lay of the land. Actually, this terminology, lay of the land, I learned when I came back, because this didn't exist, or I never heard of it back in the early 80s. But when I came back in 2006, the lay of the land was a key word for me. And this is the knowledge I want to impart to you. Learn the context. What's happening here? Connect with the appropriate best practice groups that govern your industry. So whichever your industry is, this country is so blessed, Canada, offering you associations that govern a certain trade. So connect with them. And also mastermind groups, meetup.com. We have a lot of tools now as opposed to 10, 15, 20 years ago. You literally can Google best practice groups for my industry and something will pop up, sometimes more than even 1 or 2, right? So check it out. Make a list of global and local contacts and conduct LinkedIn research. So sometimes clients are saying, why you say global? I'm here now. Well, I say global because all of these big companies are having, branches and and connections globally because they conduct their business globally. So very much possible, and I have lots of clients who actually tapped into their connections back home in their original country, whether it was a university professor or whether it was a former boss or a colleague, and they were able to recommend them locally here in Canada. I have many, many amazing examples how they actually doubted me, but they went through the program and they went through the assessment, and they were actually be able to open doors for themselves through their global contacts locally. Collect and post online recommendations and referrals, both online and offline. So some of us have, including myself, maybe reference letters from the past. They are not outdated just because they are maybe 5-10 years old, but now we also need to get them online as well. And in Canada, employers prefer recommendations from former managers, former supervisors. Peers are good, team members are good, colleagues, but it's really preferred that you get at least one or two from your former bosses or supervisors or CEOs or company owners. Try to get into a bridging program as well. If you have already done it, fine, but if you haven't, these bridging programs are really amazing to basically teach you about local Canadian workplace culture within your chosen industry. I have taken 2 of them when I was a newcomer, and they were amazing, not just from a connection point of view, but I actually learned new things which I thought, well, coming back here after 15 years or 14 years away, I didn't think I would need to learn, but trust me, it was an amazing, both programs I've been to. So when you speak to some of our employment advisors in our 7 offices, ask about bridging program and see if you can are you eligible to that? Find a mentoring organization as well to connect to a mentor. Triac or LinkedIn are both really good resources for that. A mentor is able to show you how to do things. Will help you with a little shortcut. There are not big shortcuts because we all need to go through our learnings individually, but mentors are really nice to sort of warm you up to the industry and let you know how they got to where they got to. So the live examples and the testimonials from them, they prove also always very, very useful because they're live examples. They are not theories. They are like flesh and blood people who have gone through, and that's an amazing motivation to hear about. Arrange an information or research interview or meetings with subject matter expertise. SME stands for subject matter expertise or industry experts, and of course the mentors that I mentioned earlier. Have 15 minutes with them. Ask them either on LinkedIn or just pick up the phone, cold calling, or maybe you have a friend who has someone in an industry that maybe can open a door just for a discussion. And make sure that you're not pushing your resume in that discussion, but just find out as you're researching the local labor market, get onto the pulse. It's very important that we find out what really is happening. Connect to volunteer organization. That's another really good way to prepare yourself and understand what is locally. And volunteering, I must tell you, is a part of the Canadian life or part of the Canadian social fabric. It's very highly valued also by employers when they see it on your profile. So I provided a couple of info here, like Volunteer Toronto, if you're in Toronto. If you're in the GTA, Volunteer MBC, which stands for Volunteer Mississauga, Brampton, Caledon, is an amazing organization for that as well, the counterpart for the GTA. And Charity Village and Working Culture. So these are really good sources for investigating this avenue. And I don't mean volunteering forever, just maybe set a goal that maybe once a week or a couple of hours a week for maybe 3-4 months, I'm gonna give it a try and fit it into your schedule. Prepare to accept also phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. Why am I saying is this? Because normally newcomers think that they are going to be taken on par with what they did before, originally in their own country. And when they arrive here, sometimes it's a bit of a, you have to drink the Kool-Aid because it's step by step. Remember, good things take time. Rome was not built overnight, and so never give up your dream, but make sure that you're willing to accept and maybe forge a step by step sort of pathway to your success. And we certainly can help you at Next Steps to do that. We are very good at building pathways for you to your dream. And don't give up your dream. Just know what realistically is possible right now and understand, as I said, the what is. Canada's job market and the current situation is, well, quite crazy. It's in a complete flux. So it's very hard to project things, but I'm going to give you an attempt to it. To basically analyze what's happening right now. Yes, I know lots of jobs are lost, but we are going to focus on, remember, mindset. We are going to focus on what's in demand. Because trust me, even with all the job losses, as you can see, unemployment is right now 13%, which was somewhere at 4.5% in January. Even though it jumped, but still there is lots of jobs are in demand. The trick is for you to be strategic. So I want you to abolish the word job seeker. I'd like you to become a self-marketer, because maybe you already are one. That's great. I congratulate you. But when you are strategically a self-marketer, you start to see what's possible, not what's not possible. Okay. So emphasis will be on networking and upskilling, or we call these days micro skilling, because constantly as a self-marketer, you need to make sure that you are marketable, you're sellable. Okay. Ontario Job Futures, as you can see here on the source, top right hand corner here, you can see that that's one of the greatest websites you can look at. It's a provincial website, so we are in Ontario. Our clients are in the GTA, so that's a really great thing to look at. And one of our employment advisors or my counterpart employment specialist will be able to navigate you on this site. Before you get to that meeting though, please welcome to investigate there. As you can see, the labor market is tight. 48% of Canadian employers can't find the workers they need, pushing the talent shortage to a 10-year high. Can you believe this? Talent shortage. The Manpower Group is one of the world's largest organizations in terms of staffing, and they do amazing research. So I consult their research a lot, to tell you the truth. It's a really great resource for you. And they claim talent shortage. This is right now in March 2020. So the idea is that employers have jobs, but they don't find the right people. So as I mentioned earlier, hidden job market, right? You need to make sure you know people and people will know you, because no matter how many degrees, diplomas, and skills you have, if not many people know about you, you're not going to get too far. So the labor market right now, even though it's tight, is looking for you. Someone is looking for you out there. So make sure that you investigate these two sites for sure, Ontario Job Futures and Manpower Group, and look at the talent shortage, because on their website they have actually infographics and a really long, detailed, excellent review on right now, currently March, April, May 2020, what is on shortage. Industries jobs are on rise and in demand are healthcare, pharmacies, telehealth, nursing homes, medical manufacturing companies, delivery companies, finance, telecommunications, call centers, supply chain industry, remote work technologies, which is really like IT transformations, because a lot of companies need now to transform their workforce into offline and, of course, not offline, online, and digital work. There's lots of shopping channels, lots of jobs are vacant and lots of jobs are on the rise. The other source is Randstad, which is another staffing agency conducting excellent research. And I'm always, going to this source as well, alongside others. They list 15 best jobs in Canada right now. So as you can see, sales associate, driver, receptionist, welder, developer, business development manager, general laborer, project manager, heavy duty mechanic, merchandiser, electrical engineer, accountant, HR manager, financial advisor, and registered nurse are all needed in 2020 according to their research. Another excellent source is to check who are the top companies, because when you meet an employment advisor, sometimes it comes up, hey, what is your top 50 companies you want to work for? To, in order to kind of funnel it and to narrow it down to choices by the time you meet some of our job developers. So the Globe and Mail has this year after year, I think it's entering its 14th year, they do a really good research and publish a list on top employers. So please visit the Globe and Mail and just type in top employers in 2020. You will have this, and the list goes on and on. I just took a quick screenshot, so to give you a sample, so to speak, to show you. But these links are actually live when you go onto the site, and right away you're in the company and you can see what they offer and who they are. I find as a newcomer, it's really strategic and important that you investigate the whole landscape. You're gonna probably identify with companies that you have known before and maybe even worked before in the world. So it's very helpful to kind of plan your next moves. The future is bright, ladies and gentlemen. So Forbes is also telling us, especially in Canada, listing up to 300 employers. Now I stopped with the screenshot at 261, as you can see, but it actually goes up to 300. And in the search window, search by industry and search by the location and the name, you can actually separate like if you click on headquarters, it's going to put it in alphabetical order according to province, so or city. So it's a really good site as well. And obviously when you're looking at all these things, now some kind of idea starts to formulate, some kind of a picture will draw itself in your conscience. So the future is bright, as I said again, but make sure that you investigate in all the sites that are important for this perspective as a newcomer, labor market perspectives. Indeed blog, I'm sure you go a lot on Indeed, but have you been on the blog? Because it's like any blogs. Right now, currently, we have over 4 million blogs on the internet, but which blogs to read? I read a lot LinkedIn blog and LinkedIn news, but also Indeed blog. I don't just look for jobs. And look what I found. Companies hiring in Canada right now. Amazing full article, very fresh, June 15, right? It's absolutely fresh article on the latest. And these are all the companies that they list in that one article. So they don't only list the names of companies, but they also list the job positions that are predominant right now and urgently need to be filled. So as you look at these companies again with concrete job openings, please start to, differentiate in your head. Which industry am I more drawn to? Where are my skills right now? Where is my passion? Do I love this industry? Have I done something in this industry earlier that I can show as a result? Because don't forget, North American labor market is very much evidence-based. So when you look at these jobs and you look at the companies, start to think portfolio, start to think evidence. What results am I bringing to the table when I'm called in, right? So gather that. Also, I need to mention the job bank. The job bank is an amazing tool. Last time I checked, this is 77,054 job postings across Canada. Of course, you need to mention your province and the city you live in, whether it's the GTA or Toronto. And I also would like to bring your attention to trend analysis. Under trend analysis drop down, you don't only get the jobs, but you also get the industry reviews. They update this very frequently. So Canada's job bank is not just for jobs. Many of you tell me that you have not even investigated in the drop down. So in the trends analysis and the career planning, I recommend that you really dissect this site for your best benefit and get the latest news. Last but not least, I'd like to bring your attention after, habits and internal review and also research that you conduct into the knowledge sector, implementation. If you do not implement, it stays a theory, and we know about theories, they born and they die. So we need to make sure that we, beside the great theories we have, we also get and gather our own based on our own action, our own customized knowledge. Because, theories are great, but your own action will actually give you your own research. And there is nothing better than that. Do it with consistently. Don't falter, don't give up, keep at it. Find the appropriate employment agency to guide you. If you're with us already, Next Steps, 7 sites, 7 offices nearest to you, great, stay with us, and we embarked on the journey, and we're going to make sure that we, reach to success with you. If you're not with us, obviously we would like to have you registered with us and start the work. The earlier you register, the earlier you're going to, have the fruits of your hard labor that can lead to employment. So I urge you very much to start. Also check out, do I have my diplomas and certificates as a newcomer coming from another land, another country, accredited? Because don't assume that it's going to be accepted just because it's called university some other country. We have an accreditation process, and Next Steps Employment Centers, us, we are also able, if you're eligible, we are able maybe to financially support you on that, because the accreditation process costs a little money. So in that case, you need to check that with your employment advisor. We do have wonderful financial supports that we are able to release, especially to eligible newcomers, okay? But without accreditation, it's gonna be really hard because everyone is looking for evidence. So that might take a little time for you, but it's worth the trouble to get them. Prepare a core resume. As a newcomer, you need to make sure how that Canadian resume looks like. It needs to be tailored to the local requirements. It needs to be, search engine optimized, because the scene, the context in Canada is very much automated. So many times, actually, your resume is not seen or doesn't arrive to a desk of an HR manager, but to a scanner. So we want to make sure that you have a good resume. Come talk to us. If you already have one, perfect. Also know that you need to tweak that, and we have wonderful workshops on how to tweak that resume, okay? Also gather your reference letters and recommendations online and endorsements on LinkedIn. These all together will comprise a strong personal presence, and you can start your, brand building locally. I mentioned about upskilling earlier, and one of the most important things that you can do while you're, still getting settled, take those courses. Make sure that you understand what are the skills that the local companies and organizations are really needing right now. LinkedIn has a list, but that's a more general list. What I would recommend is that you actually call up some of the companies you want to work for, and you actually ask, hey, I understand that you have advertised such and such jobs. Can you please tell me, which schools you hire from, which organizations or teaching education organizations you prefer me to gather latest skills, and just analyze the job postings and highlight. Maybe you put 10, 15 job postings near each other, and just analyze what skills are they all, what's the pattern, what skills they are all needing, right? So when you compare 10, 15 to each other, some kind of a picture will start to evolve, right? Focus on understanding your industry dynamics. So, just interview as many people as you can from the from your target industry. What are the major challenges of that industry? Get to know what's happening, because at the end of the day, you want to build your unique niche and you want to appear in front of your potential employer like you're going to solve their problem or you're going to help solve the problem, right? And so soft and hard skills, they are equally important these days. Soft skills are, maybe certain areas are even more accentuated. Obviously in customer service, soft skills will come very handy because it's the life skills, it's the behavior based skills. Hard skills are more like the technical skills, right? So this is the two major difference. And I tell you, at a job interview as a newcomer, if you know and you're aware of your own soft and hard skills and you know what that particular industry is demanding or wanting from you, you're going to speak so clearly, so succinctly, that you're going to impress that potential employer. Also find out where you can upskill for free. When you come to our workshops and when you speak with your employment advisors or employment specialists at Next Steps Employment Centers, we have access to a lot of data and information on free learning. Literally right now, if I had more time, I could show you over 30,000 courses you can plug into free. So I urge you to have this discussion with your employment advisor or employment specialist. There is lots of availabilities to learn free. Question is, will you have the time for it? And last but not least, start to work on your connections. Use LinkedIn for first degree, second degree connections, because up to second degree, the trust is really strong. So if you want to get to Joe and you know me, then you ask me to get to Joe. So Joe is the second degree, I'm your first degree, and you are you. So try to build, when you build your, map out who do you know, make sure that after the first column or the list of people that you know locally, you're gonna go online and investigate who do they know and tap into that second degree. So important. And a lot of people actually are not tapping into it. So I'd like to incentivize you to do that. Okay, well, that pretty much covers the three areas of mindset, knowledge, and action, which I wanted to say today for you as a newcomer, just to get you started on the labor market and getting to, understand how the job market is kind of laid out. What are some of the tools? And I would like to invite you to check our online calendar, which I put the June one up here, but the July is coming out next couple of days. Check for our live webinars, check for pre-recorded webinars as well, just like this one. Please participate in our upcoming virtual job fairs. Participate in the guest speakers because they bring in important topics, whether it's disability hiring, whether it is a staffing agency, whether it is an organization that's important for your future. Just please do participate and also book your one-on-one coaching sessions. If you are registered already, we appreciate that, but we also do appreciate if you recommend us to another newcomer friend. I'm pretty sure that the community that you tap into, some of them may have heard or may not have heard of us, and you would do a good deed by recommending our services, and we thank you for that. So I promised tips and links at the beginning of the webinar, so please do take a screenshot of this. These are the important links that you are able to access, and just continue the good work. As I said, it will not happen without the full analysis of the market, and I want to get you as soon as getting hired as possible, but for that you need to do the research out there. You got the tools, you got everything, and trust me, you got this. Last but not least, I would like to invite you to take a survey and look at the webinar, and I hope you enjoyed the tips and tricks I have provided in this short 35, almost 40 minutes. Please give us a love and fill out the forms that we'll provide valuable information also on not only how you like the webinar, but also what other webinar topics you would like to listen to. And visit often our websites, because we do have a lot of information there, as well as LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. We are everywhere. So hopefully this will give you a good overview. I wish you luck, and I wish you all the best on your launching your new life and new career in Canada, one of the best countries on earth. Welcome.